not a lot of people know that I went to law school. I was trying to be a lawyer, and I basically flunked out, which is how I ended up going back to journalism. And that was embarrassing too. Obviously, having to tell my parents that I flunked out of law school.
How tough was that? How tough was that for you? Because I've heard Bomani Jones always talk about like how when he failed out of grad school, he was really like scared to tell his parents because of how much promise he showed. So how was that for you?
Well, I was lucky because my parents, they didn't really push me to go to law school or anything like that. It was completely my idea. I was actually trying to hit sports from a different angle. I was trying to learn contracts and the business side of the law, so I could work in a front office one day. It's completely my idea, but I did it the wrong way. Like I went straight from undergrad, and it was just a huge jump. Like I did really well in undergrad. Law school is a different beast, and even the LSAT wasn't that bad because I did well enough in the LSAT to get some merit scholarships. And I got into some pretty good schools, like got into BC, got into Miami, got into George Washington. Ooh. Ended up going to Villanova because Villanova came through with a scholarship. But it was different. It was different. How can I say this? The day-to-day grind of actually doing the reading and putting in the work is very different from studying to pass a test. And it's also different because basically you don't have any grades except for your final exams. So one, you don't have any homework or participation grades to bring your grades up. Your grades just are what they are, number one. And number two, you don't know what they are until the end.
Wow.
So that was the most stressful part because like we had like midterms, but they were only like 1 or 2 subjects. And I didn't do great. I didn't light the world on fire, but I had like a B- and a C+. Like, you know what I mean? Like, but like I got my first term law school grades back and they were horrendous. Like I was at the very bottom of the class. And I was like, oh, like that was crazy. So that was what really stressed me out because like I'm here and I'm like, yo, I got these terrible grades. Like even if I do well enough to stay in, like who's gonna hire me for internships? Who's gonna, how am I gonna get a job? You know what I'm saying? And I'm sitting here taking out, loans to cover my living expenses. Like I had most of my tuition covered, but still, you gotta eat somehow.
Right.
So I'm living in Philly, running up these loans, and man. So long story short, I needed to basically have like a B- average my second semester of my first year, basically to stay in. I basically needed to get like a 2.7, but it's not that hard in law school because like they graded on a curve. It's like basically you don't even have to be in like the top half of your class. Like you can do that in the bottom half of your class, but you still have to put in the work and do well. And so I studied my butt off, man. Like I went hard as I possibly could. I got help. I got all the extra tutors. My friends were looking out. You know what I'm saying? They were teaching me how to outline and do everything properly. And I could just feel the improvement. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, okay, I'm actually starting to learn this. You know what I'm saying? I did all right in a couple of classes my second semester. So long story short, I get my second semester grades back. I need like a 2.65 or whatever it is. What do I get? What do I get? Stay in. What do I get? What are my grades?
C, B minus, C minus, C.
No, I missed it by like I needed like a 2.65. I got like a 2.6, like 2.
Oh no! Oh, that much.
I was so close, dude. Like, literally, like it was insane, dude. Like I was that close to it, and I lost it all, man. I lost my scholarship. I lost my spot in the school. I basically lost the path that I was on. So I had to. I mean, I studied journalism in undergrad, so I went back to that. But long story short, definitely a difficult conversation to be like, yo, I messed this whole opportunity up. But it was better because it wasn't something that my parents were like, it's not like I come from a family of lawyers and they were like, you're gonna be a lawyer. Nobody in my family is a lawyer. And nobody in my family, other than like my grandpa, has like more than a bachelor's degree. So like basically, you know, like I was trying to leap and take it to that next level and I just messed up. So that made it easier, right? Because they were like, all right, you just find something different. But long story short, very similar story. I went back to work at the Boys and Girls Club that summer. Like I kicked out of law school, got a job at the Boys and Girls Club where I'd worked forever, like literally since I was a teenager. They took me back for one last summer to work as camp counselor. Saved up all my money from that summer to go to NABJ. And it was in Detroit that year. 2017, I think, or 17 or 18, one of those two.
18, I didn't go that year, sadly.
Yeah. So I flew to Detroit, like flew on Spirit. like,
oh man, you were
stayed in a hostel, like, bro, you know the things you do to like keep the dream alive, man. Like, it was
great. You flew Spirit. That is a dedication to the hustle because I wouldn't do that. So I wouldn't do that desperate, but you did that. Like that is commitment.
Yeah, man. So I got there and I put my name in at the Gannett table and I wasn't really expecting anything to come out of it. Like I was just like, man, I'm here. Let me see what's up, talk to the recruiter. Long story short, fly back to Boston. And it's like the last week of summer camp and we're just sitting out. The kids are like playing kickball or something. And I'm like out on the baseball field, like sitting under a tree. And I basically get this call where it's like, hey, you know, there's an opening in Memphis and, you know, we really think you should apply for it, you know, see what comes of it. And long story short, the process happened. I got this job about 3 months after I flunked out of law school. And here we are. But it's just so interesting because, you know, people see sports writer, right? And, that, you know, they see that we kind of have this job that everyone wants to do, but not a lot of people know what really goes into it, what the real grind is, and what the real struggles and real insecurities are, which is part of why I have the Khari show, because it's like, it's almost like our I Am athlete. You feel me? Like, this is I Am media, you know? Like,
the struggle really did make us get to this point. I'm sure for you, it's the same way. Like, you think about, you know, what happened with law school. It's like, man, like I have, you know, you got to see James Wiseman.
Man.
You got to watch James Wiseman. Your first year here, you get to watch McDonald's All-American.
No, it's crazy. It's like, it's just insane how much talent has come through. But you're correct. I mean, those what ifs come up in my life too. It's just interesting, man. Like, because there's an alternate universe where I get like the 0.3 points or whatever I missed. And I wouldn't have had the courage to walk away if I got back in, if I never lost my spot. I wouldn't have had the courage to walk away. That was almost like the blessing of like failing sometimes, you know, because it's like, it forces you into situations where you wouldn't have made that choice. Because if I could stay in, regardless of how bad my grades were, you know what I'm saying? Like, even if I just had a straight C average and like, I would have tried to get better at it and I would have struggled my way through and it would have been tough to get internships and all sorts of things. And who knows where that path would have taken me. But I don't think I had good enough grades or maybe even, you know, networking skills to do what I really wanted to do in the business right away. So I likely would have been some stuffy, annoyed, overworked, underpaid lawyer, even if I could have got a job in Philadelphia versus moving to Memphis, getting this new experience. Like you said, covering James Wiseman, covering Mike Miller, who just won a state championship at Houston, you know, covering Kennedy Chandler, who just made the Hoop Summit team for USA. Like, you know, definitely it's been a rewarding experience, man. And think of all the ribs I would have missed out on, man.
Oh,